Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, May 11th, 2015. Okay, I didn't make a Raw review last week because I missed it because I was doing an improv show. We saw, of course, the Payback main event checkup last week, and tonight is the Road to Payback's final stop. Tonight in Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of one Dean Ambrose. And for being in Cincinnati and being the go-home show before Payback, as I mentioned in my Attack Sports today, they need to add a lot of matches, which they did for Payback. As you see by my subtitle, these are a little more tonight. Some good matches. Both we found out the stat, as you see below. The status of the IC Championship was determined. And below is an announcement of an event that I'm thinking we're going to determine the new IC Champion. I don't think they'll determine it this Sunday. I think they'll determine it at another event, which I'll get to in a second. So let's get down to business. The first Raw I've seen in a couple of weeks. And first thing we kick off Raw with Triple H. As we've been seeing for the last few weeks, the tension between Kane and Rollins boiled over last week as Kane added Dean Ambrose to the mix following putting Ambrose in the match against Rollins and adding a stipulation to that match, in a great match on Raw, by the way, last week, that if Ambrose would win, he would add himself to the main event of Payback, making the then triple threat match a fatal four-way. I did not think Ambrose was going to win, which he did. So, fun matchup last week, and then we have ourselves a fatal four-way, with Kane and Rollins' tension at an all-time high. Leading up to, I think there was a match later on in the evening. And then there was like chaos at the end of the night. I think it was Orton and Rollins. No, Orton Reigns last week was main event. And then Rollins got all the moves from everybody. And everyone attacked each other. So the night Triple H was trying to take care of the settlement. Trying to settle the tension between Kane and Rollins. Trying to keep everyone's egos in check. And Triple H said basically, Kane, I know that you are tired of Seth Rollins' brattiness, his attitude, and we all want to smack him around a little bit. But business is business. You got to keep your head together. Because if you don't get Rollins, basically if Rollins is no longer champion at Payback, you're fired as director of operations. Now, as much as I want to see Kane split away from the Authority, I don't think Seth's going to lose the title at Payback. I bet you Kane will try to screw Rollins, because remember, Fatal 4-Way is no DQ. That's the only con about this. Fatal 4-Way is no DQ. And I hope they don't splatter with interference and let it spoil the main event like it did at Extreme Rules. Have the interference at a minimum. Don't fuck it up. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil a great match with interference. Like one match got spoiled tonight by interference. But the interference served the purpose, which I'll explain why in a moment. Or two. So Triple H want to keep everyone's egos in check and want to get everyone on the same page. So he announced some matches involving all the Fatal 4-Way participants. Seth Rollins would take on Randy Orton for the 1 millionth time, but still a decent little match for the main event tonight on Raw. Also we have Reigns against Kane, and then our first match of the night will be involving Dean Ambrose in a handicap match against J&J Security. As I mentioned, tonight's Raw was in Cincinnati, the hometown of Ambrose. During the first segment, you heard everyone saying, Ambrose, Ambrose. And then he came out and got a big pop for being hometown. And there was no way Ambrose was going to lose. Not just because that he's going into Payback with a lot of momentum. He needs some momentum going into Payback. But also, it's his hometown. So, decent little match. Being a handicap match. Jason Security tried to have the numbers in their game. And they did have Ambrose on the ropes at one time, but then Ambrose with his lunatic attitude got back in the game, did all his big moves, including, of course, the big one that counts. The dirty deeds are noble after tossing Mookie to the outside and a 1-2-3 victory for Dean Ambrose, getting momentum for the pay-per-view Payback this Sunday on, of course, PPV in the network. On our next matchup, we have Bad News Barrett against Dolph Ziggler. Now, I predicted in my Attack Sports that we would see a Bad News Barrett Not Bad News Bearman. Ziggler match against Sheamus. A rematch from Extreme Rules. I kind of knew they were going to do it, and it's official. No stipulation to it. They didn't kiss me off again. I would rather have a street fight, but at least it would be a regular one-on-one match, no stupid stipulation. And then Neville takes on Barrett again this Sunday. Neville won against Barrett at the Extreme Rules pre-show. At least it won't be on the pre-show this time. At least he's going to get his full main card pay-per-view debut. Neville's first ever match on the main card of a pay-per-view. Because he was on a pre-show last month. And then Barrett defeated him at King of the Ring. So it's kind of like the rubber match. You know, because they both beat each other. So, never had a great showing at King of the Ring. Good showing tonight. We'll get to that in a second. And Sheamus was at ringside for this match against Bad News Barrett and Ziggler. Decent little match with these guys. These guys have wrestled many times before. And good little match with great moves from both fellas. With Ziggler trying to nail the famous sword at one point. He did. Trying to nail zigzag. But Sheamus was at ringside. He even wanted to break up the count at one point. But he decided to relent. But then he distracted Ziggler. As Ziggler was going for a big move. Ziggler got distracted by Sheamus. Walked right into a bar hammer and a 1-2-3 victory for Bad News Barrett. Followed by a beatdown from Sheamus following the match. Setting a message for their match this Sunday at Payback. So there you go. Now on to our next scenario. I mentioned the Attack Sports as well today. So I'm plugging my Attack Sports. At least I ain't plugging in like they do on the network. I don't plug my shows as much as I do with the network. Or as the WWE does for the network. They plug it more often than I plug my own shows on my videos. So, we had Eric Rowan and Luke Harper apparently back together. Trying to set up a Riot family reunion. And they attacked Fandango last week. And now, tonight, we had Eric Rowan against Fandango one-on-one with Luke Harper at ringside. Total squash. Like, Fandango got destroyed despite he bringing back his own music. That's the only good thing about Fandango. He brought back his own music. Scalaboo, Cincinnati, doing the Fandango. But it was total squash. Eric Rowan just destroyed him. Big kicks. And Eric Rowan, in my mind, I'm kind of glad they're putting him back together with Luke Harper. Some teams, they break up too soon. Like Primetime Players broke them up too soon. Although I'm glad they're back together. Putting some funny pummels together. I like the vignettes. They're setting up for the return of full-time action. I think that's the setting up by these funny vignettes they've been doing. But I'm glad Harper and Rowan get back together. They're great athletes. They've had some great tag team action. You know, the feud against the Shield with Bray, though. Great. Of course, the series of matches last year with the Usos were awesome. So I'm gonna get back together as a tag team. You know, can really shake up the tag team division. And the way the Ascension should have. So, like I said, and it's also good because Rowan didn't get over as a babyface that much. You know, every time I saw him come out, he got little to no reception as a babyface. So I'm kind of glad they got better direction for him. And Luke Harper, too. Harper's been directionless ever since he lost the IC Championship many times. So there you go. On to the U.S. Challenge, the Open Challenge. John Cena once again taking on another competitor as he prepares for Rusev this Sunday for the I Quit match. Now, second week in a row we had NXT people. Last week we saw Sami Zayn show up in Montreal, introduced by Bret Hart, which is awesome. And this week we saw another NXT talent who's on the main roster, Neville. Now, ever since Cena did his Open Challenge, I was thinking Neville was going to take the Open Challenge, but I was fearful because he was going to get buried by Cena. But, take it as it is, awesome match between these two guys. Ending spoiled it a little, but like I said earlier, we had a great match, spoiled by the ending, but at least the ending had purpose. This match was really good, and Neville's been looking good. Even in defeat, Neville's been looking good in all of his matches lately. The match at King of the Ring Finals, obviously the match against Rollins, his second week in the main roster, which was awesome. And tonight against Cena was pretty good. There were some great moments, like Neville doing a big splash, and Cena did like a cool little new move. Not the stunner, but a cool little power slam move. That was kind of a cool little move. It also delivered a great clothesline. And it was a great back and forth match. You know, great action. Like the first couple minutes were kind of slow, but once they picked up the pace a little, even if I think Cena kind of landed gingerly on his leg, Then Neville didn't get control up. And once they got going, bang. It was really good action. And Neville looked really good. Even in defeat, well, he kind of won by disqualification. Because he had Cena set up for Red Arrow many times. And he got some big moves in on Cena. And he got to finally try to connect the Red Arrow, which he did connect. And after he connected the Red Arrow, just as you're about to get the pin, here comes Rusev to spoil it. Now, yes, I don't like the screwy ending. To save Cena's ass. But, like I said, the ending had purpose. Rusev, of course, as you know, is taking on Cena this Sunday. So it was purpose. Like I said, this ending had purpose. Rusev came in. I had a sneaky feeling Rusev was going to get involved to build up the match against him and Cena. Cena had Neville in the STFU. I thought that was the point when Rusev was going to come out. But then he did come out after the Red Arrow. So they attacked Neville and, of course, attacked Cena, leading up to the accolade and making Cena pass out. Of course, the match is called I Quit. As I said many weeks, I think Lana, who did not see Lana tonight, despite the We Want Lana chance, I bet you Lana would be a big factor in the ending of the match and the outcome between Cena and Rusev. So great match against Cena and Neville. I think Neville's, even in defeats, Neville's been looking good in every one of his matches. I think he needs a win and payback to get momentum back on his side. At least get some wins in. He's looking good, but in WWE, it's not about how good your matches are. It's about how many wins. So he needs some good wins, especially against Barrett. At least this time we'll be on the main card of the pay-per-view, not the pre-show. Plus, it's not last minute. So there you go. Never looked awesome. So there you go. On to our next, well, it wasn't really a match. It was like a beatdown segment. Kane against Roman Reigns. Reigns came from the crowd. Kane was already in the ring. Kane just beat him up outside the ring. Match never really started. Just beat each other on the outside. With Kane taking control until Reigns came flying back. And you do be flying back, spearing Kane through the on the table. They didn't break the table though, but they just had a brawl outside the ring. That's what it was. Kane got a Superman punch from Reigns and a spear. Over the announce table, like I said, they didn't break it. But basically, it was just a fight outside the ring. No real match. They're going to have a match on SmackDown where there must be a winner. So there you go. On to our next matchup. Nikki Bella's sister Brie taking on Tamina, the returning bodyguard of Naomi. Last week, Naomi was supposed to take on Nikki Bella, but then she attacked them, both Bellas from behind, with the new bodyguard, Naomi's new bodyguard, Tamina, who's been gone for a while. I've been hearing she's been doing the bodyguard job, doing the house shows. So she made a full-time TV return last week. The first match back was tonight against Nikki's sister Brie. Okay, little Divas match, I like the last couple of Divas matches, but still was a decent little matchup with Brie trying to be in all Brie mode. But she ran into kick mode. She being Naomi's bodyguard Tamina ran into kick mode. Big nasty kick to get the big victory over Brie. So these are the matchup with Tamina getting the victory after a big kick. Naomi, it's unofficial right now if Naomi's going to get another shot against Nikki for the Divas Championship. We have no word on that yet. At Payback, but I think she will get a rematch eventually. Whether it's at Payback or another pay-per-view. Which we'll get to in a second. Now on to our next little match. Curtis Axel against Damian Mandow. Macho Mandow. As I want Sandler to be himself again. But this segment was interesting with him and Axelmania. They had the match. They had attempted a match. And Ascension came out to ruin it. And then we had kind of a Mega Powers copycat. Both guys started teaming up against Ascension. And had them even came down to the handshake. The famous handshake. Between the Mega Powers. Colliding. So apparently Axel's a babyface. Makes sense. It's like the new Mega Powers. Axel, Axelmania, Damian Sandow, Damian Mandow. I like the outfit though. And we have a pre-show match now for the Payback, which is now Ascension against Damian Mandow and Curtis Axel. Hopefully this match could benefit all four guys. I mentioned the Ascension, they need some better booking. Big time. They think they're legends, and they're taking on people imitating legends. So we'll see how this goes. Could be a comedy match, but we shall see. I just wish Sandow was going back to his old character again, but you realize it didn't work. What did work was him getting in these costumes. this Macho Man now could do interesting. So we'll see how this goes with Axelmania. It's interesting. Two guys who copy Hulk Hogan and Macho Man teaming together. So it's interesting. Now on to next little scenario. Daniel Bryan came out tonight. A lot of rumors about his status. And of course the fate of the IC Championship. He won the title at Mania. Supposed to defend against Bad News Barrett at Extreme Rules. Didn't make it. Questioning the status of the IC Championship. Big time. So we saw D-Bryan come out tonight. And I said this a few weeks ago. I said this on my Extreme Rules review that Daniel Bryan should just forfeit the title and just have it and just forfeit it immediately. Don't drag it out. The last time D-Bryan put WWE in a precarious position by getting injured when he was champion and forcing him to forfeit the title because of injury, he dragged it out. They dragged it out 2 pay-per-views and then they finally stripped his ass before Money in the Bank when he was WWE World Heavyweight Champion. This time, they didn't drag it out. D-Bryan came out and he said he had an MOI done and they don't know if he's coming back or not. He didn't say he was retiring or not. But I say when it comes to him being a competitor and being a contender for titles, I don't think he should be a contender anymore for titles. I love D-Bryan. I like him. I'm a big fan of his. But he should just stay wrestling and just don't go for titles. Because every time he's champion, he gets injured. So, for the second time in less than a year, D-Bryan had to forfeit another title because of injury. And then you thank you, Daniel chance. So who knows if Daniel Bryan's ever going to come back at all. You know, he may have come back a little bit too soon after the neck injury. So that may have dampened it too. So that leaves us one question. 2 questions. Who's going to be the new IC champion? I say Neville. Neville or Ziggler. And of course, another big question. How are they going to determine the champion? I thought maybe they'll have it at Payback. Maybe they'll have a match at Payback. I was talking to my dad about it, who watches wrestling with me. He's like, have a tournament. And I was like, I like that. I don't want a Battle Royal, though, because the last time the IC Championship was vacated, they had a Battle Royal to determine it. Well, I think I know the place where it's going to be determined. I think it's going to be at the next major pay-per-view after the Payback. WWE wants more network content, exclusive WWE network content, and to squeeze out another free month. You know, to squeeze the milk out of this free month with getting made for free. The last day of May, WWE Network exclusive pay-per-view, they're bringing back the Elimination Chamber. That's when I think they should have the IC Championship determined. Have the Elimination Chamber match for the title. They should not just have the Elimination Chamber match for fun. You know, because every Elimination Chamber match has served a purpose. It's been for a prize, whether it's for number one contendership for a title or for a title. They should not just have the Elimination Chamber match just to have it. They need purpose. And the purpose is to crown a new IC champion. So that's how I think they're going to determine a new IC champion. By having the Elimination Chamber match. There's only one little thing. 2 little things. It's only with 2 weeks booking. You know, it's 2 weeks between pay-per-views. And the other thing. For this WWE Network exclusive pay-per-view, guess where they're having it? The place where the crowd is the worst. Corpus Christi, Texas. Are you fucking kidding me? I know it's a network exclusive pay-per-view, but why Corpus Christi? They're the worst fucking crowd ever. You know what I mean? At least they're hosting a network exclusive. I'd rather see them host a network exclusive pay-per-view than see them host like Survivor Series. But come on, Corpus Christi. Like anyone like me who follows WWE knows that Corpus Christi is like the absolute worst crowd. They sit on their fucking hands. They should have had it in Cincinnati. At least Cincinnati crowd's better than fucking Corpus Christi's crowds. They sit on their fucking hands. You know what I mean? But I hope the pay-per-view is good though. Even if it is in fucking Corpus Christi. Wait over. So there you go. Elimination Chamber is returning May 31st on the network to squeeze out the free month. And that's where I think and how they're going to determine the new IC champion in the Elimination Chamber match. Because they shouldn't just bring it back just to bring it back. They need to have a purpose for it being come back. And a prize, which is the IC Championship. Speaking of championships, we have the Tag Team Champions. New Day coming out. Match time. Big E taking on Cesaro. And I also predicted that Cesaro and Kid will get another rematch at Payback, and it's official. And it's a 2 out of 3 fall match. I love that match at the Extreme Rules. Probably in my mind one of the best matches of the night. Even the match was a highlight. So to have 2 out of 3 falls should be awesome. And New Day is getting over his heels big time. I love the heel turn. You know, they need to be heels, and the way they're doing it is awesome. Especially last week when they beat Orton Reigns in a tag team match. And they were bragging about it all night. That was awesome. They were just milking it in. And they came out right after D-Bry, talking about how they should be celebrating D-Bry as one of my matches at all. Big E.
And Kofi Kingston getting involved in the match. They kept calling him Xavier. He wasn't Xavier, it was Kofi getting involved and got his head knocked off by Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, who got involved too. Following the distractions from both Kofi and Tyson Kidd getting involved, Cesaro countered a pin with a pin of his own like a crucifix and a 1-2-3 victory for Cesaro, pinning one half of the tag team champions. The only other good thing about New Day being emphasized a great heel turn is the fact that he used the freeboard rule, which means any 2 of the 3 could defend the titles. So, there you go. So we have that match now, best out of 3 falls. And then we also had Bray Wyatt coming out for a segment with Ryback. Now it's not official yet if they're gonna face off or not. Because I thought they were gonna have a match at Payback. But we had Ryback attacking Bray Wyatt tonight after a great promo from Bray Wyatt. And another spooky great promo. But maybe they have the match at Payback, or maybe they're saving it for the Elimination Chamber event on the network only. It's kind of a cool thing to have it on a network exclusive. Once again, even if it isn't fucking Corpus Christi. One of the most notoriously worst WWE crowds, because they just sit on the fucking hands, no reaction. Maybe now it's a pay-per-view, maybe they'll probably cheer a lot more, but we shall see. Now on to our main event. Randy Orton against Seth Rollins. Decent little main event. Between Orton and Rollins. They faced off so many times, they know each other. It was a fun little match for what it was. Great little main event. But after the main event was probably the best part. Setting up the pay-per-view big time. Orton and Rollins had a great little back and forth matchup with great moves. You know, the Hangman DDT. From Orton, Rollins did his good moves. I wish they brought back the curb stomp, but still. Safety first, but still. Stupid decision. So then, after Rollins took off for a little bit, some decent moves, Orton came back with moves of his own, setting up an RKO. But then, just as he was about to set it up, he did the... Even Rollins made fun of him. Like Rollins imitated Orton by doing the whole get on the ground thing and then the piling on the ground like Orton does for the RKO. But then he was waiting for the real thing. But then here comes J&J Security to spoil the match. Now, we had 3 matches involving the Fatal 4-Way guys. 2 out of the 3 matches ended screwy. Kane and Owens didn't even start. They had a brawl outside the ring. And Rollins and Orton ended DQ. Ambrose at least had his match and claim with the victory. So then the beatdown happened between Orton and J&J and Rollins. Here comes Kane. He got to make a decision about whose side is he really on. Remember, as I said earlier, if Rollins loses at Payback, Kane's fired as director of operations. So Kane grabbed the chair. And he was going to try to help Rollins attack Orton, but he just stood there as the beatdown continued. Until Ambrose came out to a big pop, and then Reigns, both throwing out J&J Security. And Kane just stood there as J&J Security was tossed out. And then Rollins was cornered. All 3 guys cornered him. Kane stood there with the chair
and just stood there and watched Rollins take everybody's finish. First came the Dirty Deeds from Ambrose. Then the Spear from Reigns. And then the OKO. So Kane did nothing to help Rollins. The tension continues. But then after Rollins got all the finishers, realizing that the match is every man for himself, they realized that, and everyone used their own finishers on each other. First, with Reigns spearing Randy Orton, but then Ambrose delivering the Dirty Deeds onto Reigns. For the second week in a row, we have Ambrose standing tall. Last week, Ambrose looked really good in his match against Rollins, and at the end of Raw, he stood tall after delivering Dirty Deeds to everybody. And once again this week, especially in his hometown, Ambrose is the last one standing again, with everyone being laid out as Raw went off the air in his hometown of Cincy. Now, it's cool to see Ambrose get his opportunity. I didn't think he was ready for a world title shot, but it's going to be a good match this Sunday. Even with the potential interference that could maybe maul the match like it did at Extreme Rules. But if they use interference marginally and minimally, the match could still be good without much interference. So there you go. Great little one night fun walk with Ambrose standing tall again. And I'm glad he's getting a big pop in Cincy. And get a little push. Even if he may end up losing, I still think Rollins is going to win. One, he doesn't deserve to lose the title within 2 months. And two, you gotta keep Kane in the authority. It'll probably turn eventually. Without getting fined if Rollins loses or not. But also the other 3 ain't ready yet. Reigns, I said it at the Mania. He deserves to be champion one day, but not now. Needs a little bit more pushing. So there you go. Fun on the wall before Payback. So the matches for Payback for now. The pre-show, we got Damian Mandow, Macho Mandow, teaming up with Axelmania against the Ascension. Then we got Neville and King Barrett, Sheamus against Dolph Ziggler, The New Day taking on Tyson Kidd and Cesaro for the tag team titles, 2 out of 3 falls, Cena and Rusev in an I Quit match, and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, Fatal 4-Way, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Dean Ambrose. No one on a Divas title match, or no one on an IC title match to determine a new IC champion. I say that the new IC champion will be crowned at and in the Elimination Chamber, which returns as a WWE Network only event on May 31st. I think they wanted more exclusives. You know, they had the King of the Ring Finals exclusively on the network, and now they're going to have its own exclusive event, only on the network, Elimination Chamber. It's a tongue twister. Like I said, they want to milk the cash cow that is another free month by having it the last day of May. You know, milking another free month. So there you go with that. We'll see what happens in Payback and Elimination Chamber. Even with a 2-week notice and 2-week buzz. And of course, the fact it's in Corpus Christi. So there you go. That is it for my WWE Raw review tonight. Thank you very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you all for my Payback review this Sunday. And I may do a Payback predictions podcast with the WWE analyst. We're trying to figure out a date, so keep your eyes out for that on his channel and on this channel. So there you go. Thank you very much. See you later. Yeah.